Hey there, how are you guys? Welcome to my first video in 2017. So, as promised, I said that I was going to do my worst list of 2017. I'm going to tell you guys the worst movies of 2017. The ones that were just terrible and just awful. I figured, however, this time I am going to narrow it down to just 5 movies this time because I figured I didn't want to waste too much time. I didn't want to spend too much time talking about these movies because, uh, I just don't want to talk about bad movies. I like talking about great movies. So yeah, I figured this time for each individual movie, I'm just gonna say a few words here and there, and then move on to the next one. I'm just gonna say a few words, that's it, and then boom, on to the next. Yeah, but before I get into that, I want to throw out just one, disclaimer and one dishonorable mention. So yeah, as far as a disclaimer, I haven't seen a lot of movies, so yeah, the list isn't going to be that impressive from other people's lists. So yeah, just remember that. And I do have one dishonorable mention, and that is going to be for Gods of Egypt. Well, actually, I have two dishonorable mentions. One of them is going to be for Gods of Egypt, and the other one is going to be for The Nice Guys. Now, yeah, I know. I know you guys are gonna highly disagree on that. Especially critics. But yeah, yeah, you guys are gonna disagree with that, and that's totally fine. But yeah, but first let's get into Gods of Egypt first. Now, Gods of Egypt. The reason why this movie is not on the list is because I didn't necessarily hate it to the same extent that everyone else did. I did dislike it. That's no doubt. That's why it's a dishonorable mention because I didn't like it. I didn't think it was horrible. I just thought it was just bad. I mean, for one, there were actors that really did try, in this movie, like Gerard Butler. I thought he was the best part. Gerard Butler really tried to do good in this movie. I thought he was by far the best actor in the movie. But yeah, the movie does have bad acting, don't get me wrong. It has terrible acting. And I just cannot take this movie seriously, and that's why it's at least a part of my dishonorable mentions category. So uh, yeah, a terrible movie, just not terrible enough to make the list. So yeah, Gods of Egypt is just garbage. Okay, now on to the Nice Guys. Now, I know a lot of critics love this movie, and I get it. I totally get it. It's a completely original movie for a lot of people, but I just personally did not like it. It's just I found it to be very boring. I do like Ryan Gosling. I do like Russell Crowe. I think they try in this movie, but just not necessarily enough for me to make my best list or anything like that. Actors weren't bad, and the actresses weren't even bad, but I just wasn't a fan of the premise that it went for. It's about these two detectives that are trying to look for this porn star named Amelia, and I just never really got into that. I just didn't really buy into it. I don't know, it just wasn't for me. Just didn't like it. There isn't really a detailed, you know, explanation on why I didn't like it. It's just I just didn't like it. You know, it's just an opinion. You know, you're entitled to your own opinion. That's totally fine. So yeah, that's why. That is just why. I totally get why people love it, but it's just this movie just wasn't for me. Concept just didn't really interest me at all. So that is why it's at my dishonorable mentions. It's because it's not a horrible movie, but just not a good movie in my opinion. So yeah, The Nice Guys is another one of my dishonorable mentions. So yeah, but without further ado, let's get into the actual list. Oof, this is gonna be a big one. Yeah. Huntsman Winter's War. Now, this movie is incredibly overwhelming, just too overwhelming to for its own good. It is super bored throughout the entire runtime. Like even the beginning where there's actually action going on, but after that it just gets incredibly worse after that. Jessica Chastain actually tried, but it just wasn't necessarily enough. Everyone else wasn't that good either. So yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's on the list because it just it's really boring. Like after the first few minutes, it gets just, you know, unwatchable for me. So Independence Day Resurgence, I was never a fan of the original Independence Day, the first film that came out in 1996. I was not a fan of that movie whatsoever. I gave it a chance and I saw the movie, all the way through. Was not a fan of it. Just didn't care. Yeah, this movie does have good special effects, but man, does this movie have just sloppy, dialogue and sloppy storytelling. Just wasn't a very cohesive story, and just everything about this movie it was just horrible. Really did not like Independence Day Resurgence. I didn't even really care for the first movie either. I didn't think it was I didn't even think the first movie was all that great, to be perfectly honest. So, yeah, Independence Day is just a train wreck. It's just bad. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. Now, the thing that I really hate the most about this movie, it pretty much treats its audience like they're so dumb. There will be scenes where, you know, like it'll literally spoon feed them information that we could like easily figure out ourselves, like as the audience. Yeah, this movie literally just insults its audience that it has, and that is super sad because people who go to movies all the time, who go to the theaters, pretty much all the time, they can, figure out things on their own. And I'm one of those people that can actually figure stuff out on my own. The first movie wasn't even that great, but this movie is 10 times worse than that. And I'm sorry, Megan Fox is not April O'Neil. She is not April O'Neil. Totally miscast for April O'Neil. I'm just going to say that right there. But yeah, this movie sucks. It's horrible. To be honest, I was never a fan of the original Ghostbusters film. I do respect it in its own right. I think it's a pretty good movie. I saw it when I was a kid, many years ago. I thought it was enjoyable. It was fun. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen the second one, but fine with it. It was an enjoyable movie. But this movie, ooh, it's bad. This movie is just really insulting to people who are fans of, the original. Ghostbusters 2016 was such a huge letdown for me. Now, to be honest, I was not a huge fan of the Ghostbusters franchise. I did like the original film from the 80s, '84. I thought it was good, I thought it was enjoyable. I saw it when I was a kid, and it's a pretty enjoyable movie. I don't think I've ever seen the second one, but I did like the first one. I thought it was enjoyable. It was fine. But this movie was super worse than that. Oh my gosh. And now the problem with this movie is not the woman, okay? I'm not sexist by any means. It wasn't the woman that made this movie bad. It was the acting, the characters. They weren't, memorizable at all. Melissa McCarthy, I just can't buy her in like any movie. I just really can't. Which is why she's one of my least favorite actresses of all time. I just never really liked Melissa McCarthy. I just can't take her like her role seriously because it just seems like she's always playing the same character over and over and over again in every single movie. Never see her disappear. I mean, like into any like role like she's in. It just seems like she's playing the same person all over again. It's annoying, and this is no exception. This is no exception to that. So, Paul Feig. I think that's how you say his name. Paul Feig. I mean, like he had this whole thing where people don't like this movie because people are sexist and they don't like women in their movies, but the truth is the movie was bad. It wasn't because of the woman. It was because of the way it was, directed. And I thought that, a different take on Ghostbusters would have been kind of interesting, but failed miserably in my eyes. And yeah, and just really just pointless cameo appearances, that were just shoehorned in for the sake of hoarding them in. But yeah, Ghostbusters is just not what people wanted. And yeah, it's a really letdown for Ghostbusters fans, even though I'm not a true Ghostbusters fan. I did like the original Ghostbusters, but yeah, that was that. And yeah, Ghostbusters was a letdown for sure. So you guys probably already saw the thumbnail already, so you guys know exactly what my number one is going to be, because I simply haven't talked about it yet. Now, coming up, my number one worst abomination this year. This was the movie that made me want to just say, I just don't want to watch this crap anymore. I just wanted this movie to just go over already, and I just couldn't wait for it to end already. It just makes me so angry every time I think about it. It's the worst experience I've ever had in 2017. I mean, 2016. By far last year. And that movie, that just made me just angry watching it, and I just don't want to watch it anymore. Mike and Dave Needs Wedding Dates. There's a couple words that can describe this movie. Is just Mike and Dave Needs Wedding Dates. Oh my gosh, talk about annoying. I mean, there's a couple words to describe this movie. One of them is going to be annoying. The other one is going to be horrible jokes. They really fall flat. They're just not funny at all. Oh my gosh. I mean, this is the dumbest comedy I've seen ever. I mean, like this is probably the worst comedies I've seen in a very long time. It's not funny. All the jokes fall flat. They just don't work. They just do not work. And now I'm going to be completely honest here. I actually do like Zac Efron. I think he's a pretty decent actor. I love Anna Kendrick. Anna Kendrick is amazing. I thought she was great in well, 50/50, you know, that cancer comedy series kind of movie. Yeah, that movie. I thought she was amazing in that, you know, from the small little role she played in that. Yeah, I thought she was great in that. Amazing. Here, not so much. Here, just horrible. Not a good actress here. And I feel really bad on saying that. I just feel really bad about seeing that Anna Kendrick actually sucked in this movie. Just hardcore, just on another level, just sucked. So at first, you know, the concept, you know, two brothers, you know, I mean, like picking dates for their sister's wedding, okay, doesn't seem like a bad idea. But, yeah, doesn't seem like a bad idea. Then it just gets worse and worse and worse. Each and every single minute I watch it gets worse and worse and worse. This movie really made me angry to the max. Just really pissed me off, and just waste of talent that these actors and actresses have. Just waste of talent. I mean, nothing against anyone here. No one. I'm not bashing anyone here, but man, what a waste of talent. I wish that Zac Efron can take on better roles than this crap. You know, it was horrible. It's my worst movie of 2016 by far. It's an abomination. In my humble opinion, it is very insulting to moviegoers like me and to people who love movies and are a fan of the comedy laughing genre. This is just a slap in the face, in my opinion. If you like this movie, that's okay. But this movie was just horrible in my eyes, and I never, ever plan to watch this movie ever again. So, yeah, that is my list on worst movies of 2016. What are your guys' picks? Did you hate any movies this year? Let me know. So, let me know down below in the comment section. I will be sure to read that. So, yeah, I hope you guys had a really good new year. I know I had. So, yeah, that's going to be all. So, until next time, everybody, take it easy, guys, and take care, everyone.